I wasn't as well known then. It means I'd better be careful. And I am careful. I try not to betray personal confidences. And at this time, I've spoken to a boatload of people, some of whom have current or previous security clearances, some of whom were in the military, whether uniformed or non-uniformed, some of whom were in the civil service and other agencies, some of whom have family or friends who were in the military or who worked for one or more of the civil agencies, some of whom just know things, have heard things, or come across information, who are not connected with the military or civil agencies or industry at all, but who may have been shanghaied into a program or project against their will. And I've talked to some people like that too. But I've talked to a lot of people over the last, 18 years now. I've just talked to a lot of people in all walks of life, all over the country, young and old. They just span the gamut. And the picture that is in focus for me real clearly right now is there are a lot of underground and underwater bases. Some of them are publicly known, but by no means all. And there's a lot of gee-whiz technology down there. There are projects and programs going on, some of which would positively curl people's hair. And some of it is just so off the wall, some of the things I've been told, I don't even know what to think. I don't put everything I know in my books, primarily because I don't know how to deal with it, some of it myself. So by no means have I put everything out for public consumption. Not always because of fear of my well-being, although I certainly know some things that I wouldn't necessarily say outright. But in some cases, simply because I don't know what to say or how to say it, or whether I should say it. But I'll tell you this much: there is an awful lot in my books, and I say quite a lot of what I do know in my books. I mean, an awful lot. And just going from what's in my books, that alone will tell you that we are living in a world of illusion and delusion and deceit. We have been massively lied to. We have been misled. We have been misinformed. We have been disinformed. And we have been ripped off because it's our money that's being used to build all of this, just by the billions and the hundreds of billions. And for all I know, the trillions. We do know that trillions of dollars are being sucked out of the economy to somewhere for something. What? There are vast programs and projects and undercurrents that are taking place, and we're in the dark. I'm like a man fumbling in the dark, but even at that, I've managed to fumble and stumble and bumble my way to some real discoveries. I have made some discoveries and found some very important information, and it's hidden in plain sight beyond the X-Files, and anyone who wants can go and read it. They don't have to go and do 20 years or 18 years of research like I did, because I've distilled down a lot of the high points into that book. So already, anyone who reads that book is 20 years ahead on the learning curve of where I was myself 20 years ago. And that's a tremendous step forward for all of us. In other words, one man's step forward, my own, advances all of us, a giant kangaroo leap forward. So you can benefit from my efforts.
Ladies and gentlemen, you can order Richard's books at keyholepublishing.com, KeyholePublishing.com. And Richard, there's so much more to discuss with you. I'd like to have you back another time. And I want to ask you one small question before we end.
Yes.
And that is, with all of your research, connecting the dots of what's happening, do you think that there is still a creator?
More so than ever.
That's what I'd like to have a completely separate conversation with you about. I'd like you to hold that thought.
The creator and the general tendency of the universe is for good ultimately to prevail. And I would also say in that regard, I have a second book also out this year entitled The Richard Sauder Briefing. And that book is available uniquely at Amazon.com. That is The Richard Sauder Briefing. My Underground Basis books are available at KeyholePublishing.com.
Richard, thank you so much for your time. Ladies and gentlemen, again, you can reach Richard at KeyholePublishing.com. I look forward to you coming back and being our guest again.
Wonderful, Kim. I enjoyed it.
Thanks, Richard.